Hello and welcome back to 340 Paddler. Today I want to discuss trimming the boat, and probably not quite like this. What I'm looking at is balancing the boat. How should you pack the boat so that you're not creating more problems for yourself, or the science of why weebles wobble but they don't fall down. So why trim the boat? Well, when you start the 340, if your boat's out of trim, it's not going to be a substantial issue. But day 2 or day 3, when you run up against a barge, it will help make your boat more controllable. You don't want to look like this. Although if you look like this, you're probably in the ocean and you should probably turn around, you miss St. Charles. So, let's talk about two separate things. We're going to talk about horizontal trim and keeping the center of gravity low. First of all, in terms of horizontal trim, you obviously want the boat to balance around you. You want to be the heaviest thing in the center of the boat, preferably at the center of gravity. Now, the center of gravity is roughly when you pick up the boat on one arm. What point does that boat balance for you? That's going to give you a rough approximation of where you want the center of the boat. So, preferably you want trimmed. In other words, when you're at caw point before the 340, or preferably a couple of weeks before, and you've test loaded the boat, what you're going to do is test load the boat with everything and then pick it up at that balance point for the boat. And you should notice that neither the bow nor the stern are particularly heavy. If the bow is heavy, it's going to cause real problems plowing through waves. If the stern is heavy, it will slow you down without any obvious reason. And the same applies to stand-up paddle boards. Obviously, you don't want the nose of the board in the water. That generally is seen as a problem. And you don't want the stern down in the water because sharks are attracted to it. Now, you also need to deal with the center of gravity. I apologize for these animations, they aren't all mine. But you want to keep that center of gravity low. In every boat, there's a point somewhere in the hull of the boat, hopefully, which is the center of buoyancy. And what you want is that is going to be your axis of rotation. Preferably, you want all your weight below it, or as much as possible. Don't do this. This guy might get out for day 1 and be perfectly fine, but as the race wears on, he's going to get tippier and tippier, and eventually he's not going to be able to control that boat. So try and keep everything below that center of buoyancy, as low to the deck as possible, especially heavy things, your water bags, etc. And make sure that you pack light. The less you have in your boat, the less you have to worry about these things. And every pound you carry on the boat is a pound that you have to haul all the way to St. Charles. So make sure that you pack light, and make sure that you pack it in the boat. I'm not really sure what's happening here. It's an illustration of packing a boat, but if you're packing your boat like this, don't do it. Put the things in the boat, or better yet, get rid of most of those things and give them to your ground crew. Ultimately, if everything balances out, you'll enjoy your race, you'll be very stable. You can even stabilize a boat that's a little bit unstable for you if you trim everything out properly. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, quarrels, qualms, quandaries, or curse words, please leave them in the comments below. Otherwise, this is 340 Paddler, hoping that you keep your paddle in the water.